Hey friends, what is this, Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. I'm just getting ready to work out, and I have talked to quite a few of my challengers today, and maybe just a little bit of everybody today. And something that has keeps coming up is this topic of, well, my spouse doesn't support me. And or they don't feel like their spouse supports them. And so I kind of wanted to address this, and it could be a little bit of an interesting topic. Um, so there could be some trigger warnings here. I don't know. So first off, nobody can tell you how to feel. Okay. Um, your true feelings are always valid. Doesn't matter what they are. Your true feelings. And what I mean by that is that um, if you make up feelings to be vindictive or to get your point across or whatever, um, you invalidate your own feelings. Okay, um, you invalidate your own true feelings. So that can be a really tough one. Okay, so don't expect your spouse to care about your feelings if you use them against your spouse, and your spouse will know that. um Let me back up here real quick. So this is the first, I think this is like really one of my first lives that I've done like on my personal page and not on my Weaving Through Life page. So um and I really am doing that because I feel like everybody could really use this. So I guess I also want to say I'm not a therapist. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not in the medical profession at any point. Okay, my points are brought to you really by all the research that I've done um, for my own relationship and self, and also my experiences that I've had. Okay, so um, back to subject at hand. Um, a healthy relationship, we always find that a healthy relationship boils down to communication, right? I mean, like that's what we're always told. So, I guess I feel like yes, but in order to have good communication and healthy communication, then you have to also have empathy and understanding, and you need to not be able to judge the other person when they're talking to you. Okay, so I don't feel like any of us, and maybe this is what is wrong with the world and that we live in and the relationships that we we see other people in and ourselves in sometimes too. Um I guess maybe we don't have enough. What do I want to say? What am I looking for here? What word am I looking for here? Maybe we don't have enough coaching or teaching or classes about relationships and what you're getting ready to go through, and how relationships used to be, or marriages used to be just that, the only marriage that you ever had, and the divorce rates at like I don't know, 60-70% or something. And I'm not judging those people. I'm just saying that I think this is where all of this stuff boils down to, um, or at least in my personal opinion. Okay, so one of the things that I feel like we as women do, and I am speaking from my personal experience with this one, we don't feel like our spouse supports us, but we want them to support us in every little thing that we get ourselves into. Okay, so for instance, we want our spouses to support us in um, buying this piece of equipment that we have wanted, or um, okay, so let me say this. I wrote this down here because I knew that I was gonna get like, this is the point that I want to make, but it's hard to make. So, have you bought into several things and you say that they're great, okay, to talk yourself into buying them, but then you don't use them? I mean, come on, who else does that? I know I do. Okay, so here's my list, and I'm sure that there are things on there that are not. I'm sure that there are more things that could be added to the list, this list, but are not. So, um, I I mean, I bought a foot bath, and I don't use it. It's sitting in the back of our closet. The treadmill that's in the garage, the expensive printer that's in there, or used to be in there. I guess it took a shit really before we even really got to use it. But um, do you feel like you would invest in your health if your spouse supported you? I guess is where I'm boiling down into this. Do you feel like you don't invest in your health because you feel like your spouse isn't going to support you or doesn't support you in the current things that you're doing right now? Because I feel like we kind of set ourselves up for failure there. Did you buy into the oil thing and then you don't use them? So you spend bunches of money on all this stuff and then you don't use it. The weight bench that's sitting in there. I mean, I use mine, but um, the gym membership that you buy. Do you go every day or do you go every other day of the month or of the week? Do you do you pay for that gym membership and then not even go during the month sometimes? Did you buy that really expensive curling iron that's still sitting in the drawer in there? Maybe it's never even been out of the box, or maybe it's been out of the box once and then you didn't like it and kind of just threw it back in there. How about the makeup that you bought into and then haven't used? Or maybe you don't use a lot. Maybe your husband doesn't see why, maybe your husband or your spouse doesn't see why you even bought that. Okay, so like, you see where I'm going with this here? So you want your spouse to support you, but then you buy into a whole bunch of stuff that you don't even use yourself. So you don't even support yourself with. Okay, so let's not even get started really on all the memberships that we buy. That like Prime and Fit Fad Fun, and maybe all of the stuff that they see laying around that you don't even use, okay, but you buy. So one of the things that I have really been soul searching for myself is that why my spouse maybe doesn't support me in certain things that I wish that they would support me in. So if let's say let's use health as an example because I really like what I do with my health and I like working on that. But let's say you really want your spouse to support you and you want your spouse to inspire you and coach you and be your advocate for getting up every morning and making sure that you get that workout in and making sure that it's okay if you spend your own money or that you spend your joint money on things that are for your health. Okay? But do we set ourselves up for failure in that we don't support our own selves? So you feel like your spouse doesn't support you, but then you don't really support yourself long term in the things that you are buying into either. You see what I'm saying here? I guess I really brought this up because in the research that I've been doing for myself, I realized how many things that I buy into and then don't even really support myself in. And it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy what we buy into and then what we don't actually support ourselves in. Did you quit a job and then go get another job because you thought it was going to be better? Or I'm trying to think of some other things that right off the top of my mind that I was thinking of earlier. But I guess how you defeat that, okay? So you can't make somebody support you in anything. You can't. But you can certainly support yourself, okay? So let's say you want to buy into something and you want to do it and you really, really think that it's beneficial, okay? And you aren't sure how to make them come on board too, okay? Or how to have them come on board. Again, you cannot make somebody support you in anything that you're doing, okay? You can only support yourself. So how you do that is you support yourself first. Now, the reason that a lot of us fail in things that we do is because we just quit doing them. right? Because nobody supports us in them. But how is our spouse supposed to support us in something that we're doing when we don't even support ourselves long term in something that we're doing? Okay? So if you want to buy the gym membership and you want your husband to support you in that, and you want your maybe you want your husband to come with you, okay? You have to show him that you are in that first. Like, you support yourself. You need to show him that you're getting up every day at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're gonna go and you're gonna do that. Okay? If you want to buy those oils because you want to clean your house with something that's not so terrible for you or whatever, okay, or you want to buy into, let's say, Norwex or something because you want a product that's not bad for yourself or whatever, if you do that, then you need to use them. Okay? You need to support yourself in what you're buying. You know what I mean? If you bought the makeup, okay, that you talked yourself into buying because you thought it was the latest and greatest and it was going to make you look awesome and beautiful, right? Then use it. Don't buy it and then leave it in a box and then leave it sit in the closet or in your bathroom somewhere. Okay? Let's say you went and talked to your husband about spending some money, like your joint money, okay? On makeup, okay? And here you are and you never do your makeup ever, okay? So you just spent joint money of you and your husband's, okay? However you decide to do all that stuff. But you just spent joint money on something that you don't even use. But yet you want your husband to support you in the things that you're doing. And I know that that can be hard to put the connection together. That, like, well, just because he's not supporting me in my, like, let's say he doesn't support you in working out every day, okay? Or he doesn't support you in maybe eating good every day. Maybe he wants to eat whatever the hell he wants to eat, and you're upset because you're over here, trying to eat the spaghetti squash, and you're trying to get in all your greens, and you're trying to get in all your proteins, and you're trying to do all these things, but he's not supporting you in that. Well, I hate to tell you this, but if this is the fad that you're going with today, or this week, or I don't know, maybe even this month, you literally cannot expect him to support you in that because you don't even support yourself long term. I used to get so frustrated when I first started Beachbody because I would get upset that Cody wouldn't support me in that. He would be like, I would get home and be like, hey, I need to work out. And then he would be like, oh, okay, well, I was going to go out in the garage and work. Well, newsflash, it's super hard to work out with kids in the house at the same time, right? Or it's super hard to leave your kids in the house and then walk out to the garage when your husband is also going to go out to the garage and work on stuff, but you need to go out to the garage to work out. Okay? So I guess what I'm saying is you have to support your own self and you have to support your own self for a long period of time. So when I first started Beachbody, I would get frustrated because he wasn't supporting me in the eating plan that I was eating, okay? And that used to drive me absolutely insane. But then I was like, wait a minute, I've literally not ever kept doing anything. Come on, people. There has to be other people out there. Tell me whether or not you feel like this applies to you in some way, shape, or form, okay? So, if you don't believe in yourself, I mean, seriously, okay, so either comment and tell me that you have not supported yourself in something that you've done in the last, let's say, 6 months, okay? And you've also maybe you've gotten frustrated with your spouse for not supporting you in those things as well, okay? So either comment or heart like something, just to show me that this also is something that applies to you, because I feel like I literally talk to so many people about this, like, I would say almost on the daily. Maybe not every day, but at least, most certainly every other day, okay? When I'm talking to people that are my challengers and some of my fellow coaches, some of my coaches on my team, some of the people that I just talked to, and I'm, with me starting my new business, with Weaving Through Life, and I'm doing personal development consulting and life coaching and all of this stuff. I mean, I literally talk to people about this. This is what I get paid to talk to people about because they're frustrated about the communication level that them and their spouses have, okay? And that communication level, again, I feel like, everybody always tells you, well, how to have a good marriage is communication, but if you don't have empathy for the other person and how they're thinking or how they're feeling, then you're not ever going to have good communication because you're not going to care about what they're trying to communicate with you about, okay? So if you don't have empathy for what they're trying to communicate with you about, and I guess why would you expect them to support you in something that you're doing that you don't even support yourself in? Okay? I mean, literally, we got to back up and think about this a little bit. Okay? So here's some other questions that you may ask yourself, I guess, when you're thinking about this subject. So, do you constantly seek things to find instant gratification? Okay? So, did you seek buying that makeup or oils or whatever it was for instant gratification? Were you trying to get somewhere instantly because you didn't want to put the work into it to get there over a period of time? Okay. Do you always find yourself searching for something to make you happy? I mean, did you go out and when you were at Walmart and everybody always has their list or whatever, or at least most of the time I have at least a list in my head. But did you go buy that expensive massage foot bath thing that's soak or something because you thought that it would make you feel better? Did you do that? I mean, are there things that you buy that you wouldn't necessarily, I guess, seriously, we need to revamp how we think about things and how we think about our relationships and why things happen the way that they do. So you need to make sure that you have empathy for the other person and the other person has empathy for you, okay? And understanding, okay? So I wish somebody would have sat us down before or we got married and said, what would you do if this happened in your relationship? Would you call it quits? What would you do if this happened in your relationship? Would you call it quits? Are you going to support your spouse in absolutely every single thing they do, even if they quit after a week? I mean, these are things that we don't even really get into, I think, sometimes until we're way into parts of our relationship, or you may experience, some things on a minor level the first year or 2 years that you're in a relationship, even if you're not married. But then all of a sudden, boom, like 5 years hits or whatever, and you're like, okay, well, now we're dealing with this, and then we're dealing with postpartum depression, and now we have anxiety, and now we're dealing with, there are all of these things that we have in our relationships that we struggle with, and then we also put struggles on ourselves with things like this, like not supporting ourselves in things that we would like to do and we would like to commit to. But then we expect our spouse to commit to those and to support us in the things that we aren't committing to ourselves. So, like, do you find yourself saying, well, you don't love me enough, or you don't tell me that you love me enough? But do you love yourself? Do you love everything about yourself to support yourself and love yourself? Because if you don't, it's going to be super hard to accept the love that your husband or your spouse is giving you. Okay? Do you see where I'm going with this? I mean, seriously, we need to sit down and think about things ourselves. And if you need to brain dump, grab a piece of paper and brain dump. Sit down with your spouse and say, listen, I've got these 5 things I'd really like to talk to you about, and I need your full attention for them. I'm not saying that your relationship is going to be perfect in any shape or form, okay? I'm not saying that my relationship is perfect in any shape or form, but I can also tell you that I freaking work on my relationship. My husband works on our relationship, and that's really the only thing that you can ask. I am not perfect by any means, way, shape, or form. He is not perfect by any means, way, shape, or form. But there are things that we do that we have and have done that we have to sit down and talk about and be like, well, why don't you support me on this? And then he says, well, you've quit the first or the last 6 things that you did, so why would I support you on this? I need to see that you're going to do that for a long period of time. Does he support me the way that I would like him to support me still now? No, but he's also got a lot of other things that he's doing. Does your spouse, um, I mean, are they like, I mean, Cody, he works a full-time job. They run a dealership. He farms for a living. He's working on our house. He's trying to get our farmhouse renovated. I mean, there are things that he is always constantly thinking about, just like there are things that we are constantly thinking about. Are you the, and my husband hates me when I use this term, but are you the, sole parent? Are you the main parent in this relationship? If you're the main parent in this relationship, then you're constantly thinking about the kids and getting the house clean and making sure bills are paid and groceries are done and like all of these things. You're constantly thinking about all these things and making sure that you have your chiropractor appointment and um they've got to go get shots and they've got to make it to this dentist appointment and they've got to make it to this doctor's appointment, all these things. You're constantly thinking about all those things, and your spouse is constantly thinking about, oh, I got to get that tractor fixed in the shop, and I've got to make sure that I pull this injection pump off, and I got to take it to Finley when I do this, and then I got to get back to the office, and I got to make sure that I order these parts, and then I've got to make sure that I get to this service call, and then the guys are coming to put the addition on the house, and they're going to be there for the next 6 days, and I need to make sure that there's somebody out there to run the telehandler or whatever that they're doing, and then I need to make sure that this guy is lined up next. And I mean, there are all these things that they're thinking about too. But if you don't validate their thoughts and what they're worried about, and you expect them to worry about what you're worrying about, I mean, this is all difficult. I mean, I just I just got to thinking about all this stuff here. I don't know, within the last couple of days, I guess maybe I've really started on a different personal development track for myself. And all of these things have really just been sinking in. And I'm like, gosh, I just feel like I need to, say this because I think sometimes people, unless you're doing personal development on a daily basis, you are not going to get any better in your life. For yourself personally, in your relationship, any relationship that you hold, whether it be with your spouse, with your mom, with your dad, with your brothers, your sisters, your cousin, your aunt, your uncle, your friends, you're not going to get any better in your relationships that you have in your life unless you do personal development on a daily basis. Until you look within and see, and I feel like this is really what's wrong with the world today, unless you look within and see the things that you're doing wrong in your life and you accept those things that you're doing wrong, and or even just thinking about wrong maybe, um it's okay to look in yourself and be like, god, I sucked at that, or I was terrible at that, and I totally judged them for that and thinking that way, and I invalidated their feelings like in an instant because I told them that that was stupid to think that way. I mean, if we really sit down and think about what we do wrong in our lives, you know how much better our own lives would be because we will have then worked on our relationships that we have with lots of other people and our relationships with ourselves. I mean, really sit down and think about that. And if you want to chat about it, get a hold of me. Let's chat. I seriously think that this is definitely a topic that I could go on and on and on about. I've got literally like 2 or 3 more pages that I didn't even say anything about. So if you find yourself needing to love yourself more, if you find yourself needing to be a little bit more empathetic, or you want your communication to be a little bit better, or you want to be healthier and you don't support yourself in a lot of the things that you do, um, then don't expect your spouse to support you in a lot of the things that you do. If you want some more help, let me know. That's what I do for a living. Okay? I'm here to help and support however I can.